Hi there. My name is Dr. Bob Vernon. I was formerly with Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada. I'm now retired. I worked on wireworms for about 30 years, and today I'm going to talk about wireworm biology, specifically wireworm population dynamics, or why are wireworms wiping out my wheat fields. So we're going to start with how fields become infested with wireworms. And it all begins with the click beetle stage. These are what click beetles look like. They're highly mobile, they can fly or they can walk, and that's how they get into the fields. Now, populations of wireworms build up in grassy areas surrounding fields. So this can be in grassy ditches, in undisturbed field borders, in pasture, in lawns, grassy road edges, and so on. That's where wireworm populations build up to enormous levels. Farmers never treat these areas, so basically the populations are always there. Every year in those areas, you're going to have adults being produced, and they emerge in the spring. They mate, they lay eggs in those grassy areas, and then eventually the females feel compelled to leave those areas and conquer new fields. So they'll move into adjacent fields, which might be arable fields, and they'll lay eggs if those fields are in their preferred egg-laying hosts, such as grass or cereal crops. So what happens when an immigrant beetle population comes in to a field? Well, they move in usually in spring months, April, May, and June. Typically, there's no edge effects, as with some insects. They come in and they fly around and walk around and eventually lay eggs all through the field. So these eggs hatch into neonate wireworms in 3 to 4 weeks. And the larvae, often of more than one species, will live and feed for years in the soil depending on their life history. And populations in that field will increase with the number of years that field is under grass or cereals. So if you have a 4-year rotation, which includes wheat, a preferred crop, then you'll have massive egg laying in those wheat fields. Probably not in canola because it's not a preferred crop. Now, before 2007 in the United States, farmers used lindane every 3 to 4 years, which killed most wireworms that would arise from the eggs laid in that field. So they weren't really a concern. Wireworms weren't a concern for decades. Now that lindane's gone, and since none of the replacement cereal insecticides, at least up to 2020, kill wireworms, then we have a very, very serious problem on our hands. Surviving wireworms in the field at the end of their life cycle, which might be a 4-year life cycle, they will form adult beetles that will emerge within the field. And those beetles add to the immigrating beetle population that comes in from outside. So they'll move up, they'll mate, and they'll lay eggs along with the immigrants, and you end up with a lot of eggs being produced. If that field, of course, is in grass, or if it's in spring cereals, or if it's in winter wheat, for example, those are preferred crops for beetles to lay eggs. And massive egg laying will occur because everything is perfect. You have a huge population, and you are going to have a population explosion. And a single wireworm female can lay at least 100 eggs or more. And so what you end up with is an event where you have a population that cannot be controlled. And that can happen with more than one species in a single field. So this becomes a real problem when you have an infested field that you want to plant into another crop, such as potatoes or sugar beets. The wireworms are going to attack and decimate that crop. Or if you want to rotate into a cereal crop, they can actually totally wipe that cereal crop out. And we've been seeing this in Canada and the United States, where you can have fields of spring barley that are severely thinned. This field was totally wiped out. This field of spring wheat had to be replanted. Another field of heavily thinned spring barley, and damage to corn as well. So this is what we're facing. Populations are exploding throughout North America, and we, of course, are trying to come up with a solution for wireworms. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you want additional information on wireworm biology or control, there are other videos that you can access. Thank you very much.